is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Life's a Dance podcast. I am your cute, adorable, and gracious little host, Trey Culata. Thank you, as always, for pressing play and joining me today. I know I say this every time, but I really am excited about what I'm going to talk about today. Because today we're talking about this kind of mysterious, nebulous thing known to some people, myself included, as the source. Okay, so we're understanding source love and source energy. Some people might call it the Holy Spirit. Some people call it God. Whatever you want to call it, I don't care. But for me, it's the source. It is, for all intents and purposes, a universal intelligence that I don't want to necessarily say is watching over you, but it's supporting you and attempting to guide you on your life's journey. And a lot of people are going to call me a quack or whatever, but the truth is I kind of gave up giving a fuck about all that a long time ago, because I have personally been following this little breadcrumb trail through, coming to realize how real this source of intelligence really is and how powerful it is to tap into it. Because, guys, this is where manifesting comes from. It is, and I'm not just talking about wishful thinking, okay? This is like a supportive kind of, I don't even want to call it motherly or fatherly energy. It's because it's kind of both. There's a supportive, energetic kind of field, and then there's a masculine sort of directing type of energy that's going on as well. So I just want to get into like why it's important to understand what it is and to grasp the idea that there is this universal intelligence and energy that really does love you. It's weird to say that out loud because, again, I'm sounding like a quack, but when religious groups talk about God and how God loves you, it's pretty much the same thing, but I don't like painting it under the picture of one person, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just this one entity. It is like a vast network of spirits and spirit guides. And anyway, we're going to get into all of that because I'm going to get into my personal journey of discovery with all this, because I feel like I'm about halfway, or I'm at the kind of an intermediate level in terms of understanding what the source is, how it works, and how to tap into it. Okay. I'm not an expert yet, but it comes with practice. So, and this topic actually comes at a really good time too, because we have a new moon happening on this Thursday, February the 27th. It's a new moon in Pisces, which encourages us to reconnect and renew our relationship with the unseen and the intangible and the mysterious. So, good timing, Trey. Thanks for, putting this together for us. You're welcome. So let's get into it. So the first time I was ever exposed to this concept of the source and, spirits beyond the realm that we can physically see, right, was by reading this book called Many Lives, Many Masters. Now, obviously, we're all exposed to the idea and the theory of this, as children through the concept of religion. But a lot of that stuff is based on biblical type figures, right, that existed in reality in the past, supposedly, right? So anyway, Many Lives, Many Masters. I had a friend of mine give me this book. I think I was 27 or 28. And I didn't actually read the book until 3 years later. It sat on my bookshelf for 3 years. And I had gotten into a fight with, at the time, we weren't married. So it was my ex-husband, but we were just dating at the time. Big, huge fight. And something kind of drew me to to the book. And essentially what happens in this book, and it's a true life account of this psychiatrist from Florida who was working with a patient, a female patient, and she had all these different types of neuroses, fear of strangulation in small spaces, and for no apparent reason, really, right? So she's suffering from all these neuroses, and he decides that he is going to do hypnotherapy on her. And as he kind of takes her down into this hypnotherapy process, he asks her to go back to her childhood. And the surprising part is that she goes so far back. She's in ancient Egypt. And he knows that she's in ancient Egypt because she's describing things in a way that only somebody who actually studied ancient Egyptology would have known or understood. And this woman in the present day, and the book was written back in the 90s, so you can imagine the difference. So she would have had to have studied all these things to really understand ancient Egypt in order to explain things. And even the way that she was talking as if she was in that time period. And so through this process and through the book, she goes back to all these different lifetimes, and sprinkled in between in some of these sessions, he goes on to describe what he calls the sages, and the sages begin to speak through her, these kind of universal truths about life and death and all these things. And in the beginning of the book, this guy actually says he was afraid to write and publish the book because he thought his peers in the field of psychiatry were going to laugh at him and think he was a fucking nutbar. But he couldn't not share what he experienced with the rest of the world. So that was one of my first kind of exposures, I guess, to this type of thing. If we go back a little bit further, actually, I did have an encounter with angels. And I mean, I'm just going to be so bold as to just go there. I'm going to try and run through it quick, but it's kind of interesting. So when I was in my 20s, right after college, me and a couple of my girlfriends decided that we were going to go to Europe, right? As a lot of people or a lot of kids do after they graduate. And we were, for all intents and purposes, stuck in Italy. So we're stuck in Italy. We're in Venice. They can only get us as far as Milan. We get to Milan. They said they can get us as far as Basel. And we're trying to get to Amsterdam because we have reservations at a hotel in Amsterdam. It's Christmas Day. Trains are packed. Everything's crazy. It's the early aughts. So there was no GPS on your cell phone. And things were still a little primitive and wonky in terms of booking a flight or booking a train from Italy to Amsterdam. They were not as efficient as the United States, where it's okay, I need to get from here to here. I don't care how you do it, but you're the one that's going to figure all that out. No, we had to figure that out. And they can only get us, so Milan can only get us to Basel. And when we get to Basel, we have to physically go. They tell us we have to go to the train and see if they have any space. We're just shooting in the fucking dark here, okay? We could be sleeping in a random train station in Switzerland on Christmas, for all we know. So anyway, we're sitting on the train. It's quiet, deliberating our impending situation. And I'm looking at the window, and for some reason, and I don't know why, I just started singing out loud. I need you now, more than words can say. I need you now. Okay? And it was almost as if I was praying, right, to God or the source or whatever. Fuck, I could really use some help right now, So then this weird thing happened. So I'm with my best friend, and she's an attractive, tall blonde, and she makes friends with a Swiss guy in the bar car, and he quite literally looks like an angel, blonde hair, blue eyes, super cute. And he even had like these humongous, I remember, diamond stud earrings, like glistening out of the side of his head. You know what I mean? So, and he says to us, yes, I'll help you when we get to Basel. So we get to Basel, and we go to the ticket counter, and this lady at the ticket counter is like, no, like, get fucked. We don't have any space. And he's like, she just doesn't want to help you because you're American. Like, let's go down to the train and talk to these car managers or whatever they're called. So we go down and, first car, no. Second car, no. Third car, no room. Fourth car, I think we finally, he gets us on the train. So thank God, right? And it doesn't stop there. So then we are on our way. We are on the fast 100-mile-an-hour train to Amsterdam, thanks to this angel we met in the bar car on the train from Milan. So we decide we've earned ourselves a drink. We go to the bar car on this new train. And I meet some guys that are also we meet some guys that are also going to Amsterdam, obviously. And we get to talking, and the guy's like, I'm like, oh, I love American rock music. Like, that's my favorite genre, whatever. And I'm like, oh, awesome. Like, who's your favorite band? And literally, as if he was a superhero, rips open his shirt and says with the strongest of convictions, Aerosmith, So, like, fucking amazing. And then I ask him, I'm like, so what's your favorite song? And without hesitation, Angel. So then we're sitting there in the bar car, belting out the lyrics to Angel, flying down, the tracks to our next destination. So, okay, here's another little breadcrumb trail. So then we get to Amsterdam. We're there for a couple of days. We end up meeting some random guy in the coffee shop who takes us from Britain. And so he ends up convincing us to go with him to like this Amsterdam dungeon, which is like a really crazy, dark, kind of like a theme park. And anyway, so we go to the theme park, we get out, and, he had lost track of the time. And we look at, our watches, and we're like, hey, like, don't you have a plane to catch? Like, because he was supposed to be leaving that night to catch a flight back to the UK, because for them, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump, right? He could be home in an hour. But anyway, so he almost missed his flight, but thanks to us, we were like, hey, guys, like, hey, dude, like, you're going to miss your flight. You better get the hell out of here. And he looks at the three of us, and he's like, you all are my angels. Thank you. Thank you. Whatever. I'm in the wrong accent now. But anyway, you're one of my angels. Thank you so much. I would miss my flight. So anyhow, that was probably my very, very first encounter with like the other side, right? Where it was just coming back to this theme of angels, and like angels are everywhere. And sometimes maybe even you could be the angel, but topic for another day, Trey. Keep it succinct. So, all right. We've gone over the angel story from Europe. We've gone over Many Lives, Many Masters. Now, I read a book a few years ago called The Universe Has Your Back by Gabrielle Bernstein. I will leave information on all of these books that I'm about to talk about in the notes section. Really, like, this woman has a very clear way of connecting with the source, which I have adopted anytime I feel like I need to make that connection. I literally just sit down and say to the source, or, spirit guides of the highest truth and compassion, I seek to connect with your energy, your wisdom, and your guidance today. And I sit, I connect, I feel my little avatar, like I'm connecting, right? To my little hair braid or whatever. And then I can ask whatever I want. I can unload whatever I want. It's like this, again, it's a network. It's like a really interconnected, highest speed internet connection where we're, fiber or whatever, where we're going, it's a two-way communication. Like I can feel the source now that I'm talking about it. I can feel it all through my body. And this is one of the reasons why it's so important to understand how to harness this power. I always equate it to Star Wars too and the Force. Like, so there's the Avatar side where you can plug in, and then there's like the Star Wars side where you can use it to actually bend and do things with reality, which is really fucking cool. And but Star Wars always refers to the Force, it's the Force. But really what we're tapping into is power. And that is it's a beautiful segue into the next book that has scientific backed evidence about how there is power and there is force. There are energies so if we think about, not to be cheesy here, but the power of love. So love is a powerful energy versus hatred, which is trying to control things through force, right? So there's this dichotomy. And literally the evidence is 99.9% accurate and duplicatable. Like insane. And they went back even like through history and tested like the validity of certain pieces of literature like the Bible, because essentially what Power versus Force says is that everything in our universe has a frequency, and it's a frequency between essentially 0 and 1,000. And most people on planet Earth, unfortunately, might only go up the scale an increment of 5 points in a lifetime. It's kind of sad. It's kind of fucking sad. Like, you can go from 0 to 1,000, but in a lifetime, you'll only gain like 5 points. Like, that's nuts to me. So, anyhow, I wish I actually had the book with me. I should do a whole nother episode on just that book because it's got so much great information. I'm actually going to read it again because I like the idea of reinforcing what those good frequencies are so that I can try and focus my time and my energy on those as opposed to the ones that are lower on the scale. And apparently anything over, I think, 200 is, where we kind of start to tip into power versus force. And as a collective, humanity as a collective only recently tipped into the 200s. All of humanity into the 200s back in like the 90s. So that's telling you something. Like from an evolutionary standpoint, we are moving kind of at a snail's pace, but at least we're moving in the right direction. So there you have it. So that's another facet of this whole, like, the source, frequencies, energy, it's all real. I don't care what anybody fucking says. The shit is real. And how many times have you had like some really funky coincidence happen just because you thought about a thing and then somehow it managed to manifest itself in your life? And normally it's like something small. But think about if you can harness this power and the love that the universe has for you and your journey, it wants you to learn and grow as a soul. It wants you to increase the frequency that you emit so that you can inspire others to also increase their frequencies, okay? And I know I've probably kind of touched on this a lot throughout the past 20 plus episodes here and there, but today we're really honing in on this because it's powerful stuff. It is very powerful stuff. And I personally tap into it every single day because what happens is when you tap into the source and the love and understanding and support that it has for you, you become a different person. You feel, I'm just talking about it. See, it's reaffirming that truth. It resonates with truth. So it's telling me right now that the things that I'm saying are important and meaningful and true. Oh boy. Woo! I'm like, okay, I got the chills, guys. I don't know if you're watching me on YouTube, but geez, ugh, that was freaky. Yeah, and it's freaky in a good way. So, I mean, I really feel like maybe I should make this like a 2 or 3 parter because I could talk about this forever. But suffice it to say, just to kind of keep this, because this episode's running really long, I just want you to understand that there is, in fact, even if you don't believe in God, that's fine. I don't care. But there is a universal intelligence, a universal energy that we are all contributing to all the time. And it is supporting and loving you and your journey and wants you to do things and have a mindset that supports you in a loving way. Because when we tack on to fear, and fear is one of those things that resonates at a very low frequency. I think fear might even be the lowest. It's like 100, or maybe it's 75. I can't remember. I have to go back and read the book, but fear resonates on a very low level. So if we can break free of that and get into hope, which I think is 200. So 200 or 250 is hope. I'm almost positive. Anyway, once we can kind of get over that hump and start repeating and being able to tap into these feelings on demand that resonate at these higher frequencies, you start living a completely different life. And when you change your energy, you change your life. That's something Dr. Joe Dispenza says all the time. And he is the last book that kind of brought me to all this, because he currently is doing research. Every time you go to one of his retreats, they will hook your brain up to a scanner and watch as you meditate. And so I guess getting into the practical side of this, like how do we tap into this, it's literally through meditation, guys. That's it. And it's not even like you have to necessarily sit there quietly, because I know that that's hard to do, at least at first. But 5 minutes to just download whatever you need to download, like spirit guides of the highest truth and compassion. I seek to connect with your energy, your wisdom, and your guidance today. That's how I start every meditation. And then I feel myself plug in to the world or universal wide web. And then I'm like, hey, can you take this from me? I'm feeling a lot of fear around this right now. Or can you show me what I need to see? What do I need to see right now to kind of get clarity? I'm confused about X, Y, and Z. Show me a sign. I remember one time I asked the universe to show me a sign. I was like, show me an owl. If I'm making the right choice, show me an owl. And it was so weird because I went to go brush my teeth and I walked out of the door and Netflix was on like that kind of rotating, what do you call that? Like your background screen type thing. And like the still motion previews, and clear as fucking day. Big ass owl. It was like some animated thing for kids. And I was like, okay, I hear you dudes or dudettes or whatever. I hear you, God. All right. And I'm listening. I am always listening now. I'm always listening. Okay. Because you can call it vibes or whatever you want to call it, but it's real. And if we can learn to sit back and feel that love and bask in it like you bask in the sun, absorb it, and then breathe and let it out of your own soul from the inside out. Let me tell you, things are going to start changing in your life, whether you even really thought you needed them to or not. It's so fucking cool. I'm sorry. I get jazzed. So anyway, That's all I got for today, guys. Let me know if there's anything else you guys would want to dive deeper into with this subject, because I feel like a lot of people are going to have a lot of questions. And like I said, I'm somewhere in the middle of the journey here, and it's taken me a while, but I'm definitely grasping these concepts. And obviously, the more you practice, the better and more efficient you get. So the only way to go from here is up. So anyhow, I hope you got something out of this episode, as always. And if you wouldn't mind, I would love it if you shared it with somebody like-minded who might also get something out of it. Set your intentions for this new moon, guys. Let's do it. This is the time. Rebirth, renewal. What do we want to put out into the universe? What do we want the universe to send us? Okay? Be thinking about that. I love you guys. Until next time.